The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Yeah. NY born, NY built.
What is up, yo?
Vanilla
Happy
Gorilla,
Sunday,
Big Dog,
another Sunday
Untouchables.
with
Let's
your
go.
favorite
Step in the
hostess
ring like kings
with
of the block.
promotion.
Gorilla grip, Big Dog, never stop. Iron in the veins, no gimmicks, no props. This is hard work, black top and body slops. Ain't no flash, just fists and fake. We run through ropes like we run through
It
gates.
can't be. This is crazy.
This bond ain't fake. You hear that roar? That's the
And if
Empire
nobody at
Shake.
home knows who
We
this
the
guy is, this is the Big Dog. And he did get a tip from the Brooklyn Prodigies earlier on that they had travel issues, but not due to them being scared or anything like that. But oh my gosh, the Vanilla Gorilla and the Big Dog and the Untouchables
Now we run
just
shows
inserted
like the city
themselves
ran.
into this
Drop
tag team.
elbows harder than a steel trash can. One shot, knock them flat on sight. Two beats bred for the spotlight fight. They can talk tough, bark loud all night, but in the ring, we bite and we bite right. We are untouchables, NY bred. Two fists swinging, leave legends dead. Joey bring the rage, Dave bring the brain. Together we storm like a runaway train. Untouchable, New York style. We don't tap, we make them snap.
Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? Another Sunday fun day. Yo, you are with Turnbucklesnstogies Pod. I am the Big Dog. This is the Vanilla Gorilla, and that is the OG. We are Turnbucklesnstogies Pod on all streaming networks. And today we have a guest that we've been trying to get him on. He sent us boxes, and I smoked through the last one. This is my last one. We went through all of his lines, so we appreciate him. So let's bring him on.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
We got Alex from Exile Cigars on here. Alex, what's up, brother?
What's happening?
What's going on? What's going on? Trying to fix the screen here. Hold on.
You good? Go ahead, ask questions.
So, Alex, let me ask this. How long ago did Exile Cigars come out? I'm going to say, before you say anything, I'm going to say about 6 years.
Next year will be our. So it's been a 4 year, three core lines out, a budget line, and ops, New York.
And you lean in a little bit because you're fading out.
You're breaking up a little bit. Let me. How about now? Good.
How long ago did they come out?
There we go. 4 years. 4 years.
4 years. See, I was close. I said 6 minus 2.
Yep.
So tell me and the viewers, how did you come out with Exile? What does Exile mean to you?
So the name of the company, Exile Cigars, came from the fact that parents came. But that's the empathy. And each.
You got to lean in, bro. We can't hear you.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Maybe.
There you go. Just like that. I'm sorry.
No, not. Better. I don't know why it's doing that. It
might be his headphone.
Let me see. How about now? How do you hear now?
Good.
Okay. Good. So I'll switch. I'll put the speaker, the microphone on the on the MacBook Air. Oh, that's what
So
it is.
tell us
Hold on.
how it came out to be Exile Cigars. What does that mean to you?
So, 1969, my parents come here in exile from Cuba. So that's where the name comes from. My mom, dad, and my sister came over in 1969. They left Cuba, and my dad had shoe stores in Cuba. He had three of them in Santiago, and that's the names of the different core lines that we have. The names of the shoe stores. So everything dealing with the company is an homage to my parents and my sister, because I can't imagine right now. Just think about this. Grab a suitcase, put some clothes in there, walk over to the airport, get on a flight and go to a country you can't even speak the language and start a new life with nothing. You're not allowed to bring money. You can't bring anything. No, trinkets, nothing. A suitcase with clothes and you leave. I can't imagine doing that today. And I can't wrap my head around even thinking about doing it. And yet that's what my parents did in 1969. Left Cuba, came to the U.S., didn't speak English, with nothing, from having three shoe stores and being well off, and they had to build a new life. And I pay homage to that with my cigars. Different industry, same passion for bringing something to our customers.
Well, shout out to 1969. That's the year I was born, December 31st, 1969.
There you go.
I say this all the time, and people laugh at me. 69 was one of the best years, and not because I was born, but it was one of the best fucking years I ever had. I hit 66. 56. I'm good now. So shut up, mind your business. So I need to ask you this other question. So I'm smoking the La Dahlia. OG is smoking the Alaska. Tell us how you came about that.
So La Dahlia was the name of my dad's first shoe store. And so we decided, my son kept pushing me. He wanted me to open up a cigar lounge because I was managing a shop in New Jersey, Main Street Cigars. Shout out to Main Street. I'm actually in their members only lounge right now. And I told him, nah, I don't want to do it. How about we start a brand? I just, it was one of those things you just say, and later on you're like, why did I even say that? But yeah, so he said, okay, let's do it. And so we started the planning phase, and we started coming out with small batch releases, kind of like Robert Caldwell with his Lost and Found series, where you find some stuff that's been left over or skipped, that people didn't buy their cigars from factories. And so that's how we started, while planning a core line release. Obviously, these things don't happen overnight, so it took a little while. We hooked up with a great guy, Cesar Reyes, who owns La Union cigar factory in the Dominican Republic. I'd known him for years. He had his own brand, and he ventured on to open up a factory. And when I heard that, we started talking. What's great about him is he knew my palate, because at the start of this whole thing, if you would have told me that I was going to get my cigars made in the DR, I would have laughed. I was always a Nicaraguan guy. I've been to Nicaragua a couple of times, and I love their profile, and he knew what I liked. So when we came up with some blends for La Dahlia, I don't know, you might not agree, but a lot of people think it's Nicaraguan, and it's not. It's Dominican, but it has a Ligero from Leo Reyes in the DR called 2020 Ligero, that he grows in one specific farm, that gives it that Nicaraguan kind of esque flavor. It gives it its body and strength. And the Mexican San Andres wrapper on the outside gives it its sweetness and cocoa and dark chocolate flavors.
Okay. So another question, because the other two guys aren't really for this. So I'm gonna ask you this: So how, and I know you just said it, but besides your son telling you, or you telling your son get into your own cigar line, what made you want to start your own cigar line?
Well, I think it was a progression. So you could say that cigars to me were a hobby gone wild. I was one of those guys. I had never smoked a cigar, and on the day I graduated the police academy in Newark, New Jersey, one of the guys that we were carpooling together gives me a cigar, and I tell him, no, I don't smoke. And he says, "You are today." Um, that was a Romeo and Julieta. And to this day, I can tell you the day, July 14th, 1995. It just it opened up a rabbit hole for me to crawl down. And from that first cigar, I don't know what it was, if it was something that was dormant in my blood or something, but it just set me on a quest. I wanted to smoke everything. I wanted to, learn about it. And so I was one of those, you know, guys like you, where you want to learn about the cigar brand and the story behind it and all this stuff. So I was traveling, going places. When I'm getting ready to retire, a buddy of mine calls me up and says, "Hey, you looking for a job?" I said, "Well, it depends." He says, "There's a shop that's looking for a manager. They wanted me to do it, but I'm moving to Tampa. I can't do it. So why don't you put your resume in?" So I did, got hired, and that was my retirement gig, was managing a cigar shop, which then made me think, there's got to be something more. I want to, and obviously dealing with all these companies that come in and give you samples, it was in my head. I can do this better. I can do this cigar sells for this much. I can do better, and that's what started the, hey, let's get our own cigar line, and here we are.
So, Alex, tell me about the Alaska. I'm smoking it now. I know that I'm pretty sure it's what, a Habano wrapper.
Correct.
Um,
Five-year aged Habano wrapper from Ecuador.
okay, and I know Dominican fillers. Right? Anything else in it, or is it just Dominican filler?
The binder is Sumatra, also from Ecuador, and it,
Oh,
it is
okay.
all Dominican filler. I like to say that cigar is very Cuban-esque. It's medium body, and it has what I've coined as the cavalcade of flavors. No dominant flavor; they just come and go, and it's like a constant change.
Yeah, I love it. I'm only
Now, before you go any further, which one's your favorite? What size? What do you think?
I like the big one. I like the big one.
Yeah. So I love Coronas. It's my favorite size. And when I came out with a limited in La Dalia, and then a limited in the Alaska, and they were both Corona sizes. So my limiteds are either going to be Coronas or Lanceros, or petite Lanceros, maybe, because the full Lancero is kind of long for me. But um, and those are sizes that don't do well in the market. But I think the market's missing out on what those sizes offer. But I will say that I wanted that Corona to be the one, but the Toro to
Mhm.
me is the most balanced, and just that blend comes shining in that Toro side.
Yeah, I'm having mine with a cup of coffee here, and it's a perfect balance. Like I got a nice strong coffee, medium
Hmm.
body definitely. I'm not an expert on the notes, but I am on the retrohale getting some type of pepper. I don't know black pepper from white pepper, but I'm getting
White
definitely
pepper.
that on the retrohale.
Yeah,
What is it? White pepper?
it's white
Yeah,
pepper.
I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's
So OG,
and listen,
let's do this. OG, let's do this. Do a retro hail why Alex is watching it.
Oh, look, there's the ring.
Do what?
Do a retro hair while Alex is watching.
I just did.
Just did.
Okay, cool.
No. So what I will say is I lit up so I saved the 60 ring for this podcast of the La Dahlia. Now I had seen your cigars in Fanatics and a few other places, and I never picked them up because it wasn't an intentional thing. I seen them. I'm like, I gotta try them, and then you start walking around looking at humidors, and you go, oh, I want to try this and this and this, and you start grabbing, and then I never actually, if I remember correct, I don't think I ever actually grabbed them, but a friend of mine had smoked boxes of them and absolutely loved them.
Badass cigar.
My buddy Mark, Badass Cigar Life on Instagram, he was smoking through boxes of them, and me and him. The three of us, me, him, and my dad, kind of had that same palate that we're looking for. So, when I had seen him smoke, I'm like, all right, I got to find him. And then I forget where I was. And I asked, they said they didn't have them. I forget where I was. And then, so much other stuff came out. We started working on our own stuff, doing the podcast. And then it just kind of got so overwhelming that I didn't have a chance to go find them again.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were looking for guests for like this, as I call it, almost the second quarter now of the year. When I was like, I'm like, you know what, let me hit up Exile and see if they're willing to come on, because I had heard great things. A lot of people rave about your cigars. I don't think they get as much appreciation sometimes as they probably should. But that's like a lot of boutique brands. They don't get once people get them in their hands is when they start to realize what they're missing out on. When you sent them to us, I actually smoked I believe it was the Robusto of the La Dahlia first. I enjoyed that. I've become a little bit more of a Robusto guy than I was before. And I think that has to do with not only the show, but, trying to test our own blends to put out like a limited release of a cigar just to see how it does. So I've kind of tasted, tested the Toros, the Robustos. I started out originally like 4 or 5 years ago with Gordos, which is what I'm smoking now. And I just, as I developed my palate and I started to realize, not everybody smokes a Gordo.
And not everybody makes a Gordo the same.
Right. And, you get some that are don't have all the flavors throughout. Some that are either too strong or too light. It's not punched right or whatever the case is. I mean, things happen. It's a handmade product. For everybody out there,
God bless you.
After the cigars,
thank you.
Product. That's what I try to convey to everybody is whether it's a burn or a bunch, however it goes, handmade product, things happen.
Yeah, and no matter how great your quality control is, you're going to have little hiccups every now and then. Everybody has a bad day, but it's I'm happy with our factory because those events are very, very few and far between. You get straight burns, you get good construction, and to me, that's the most important part of the cigar is construction. If you can't enjoy the cigar at all, everything else is subjective, right? Some people like steak, some people like fish, some people like chicken, and so to say I don't like that cigar, okay, you don't like the cigar. I'm sure there's plenty of cigars that were in that humidor that I didn't like that sold like crazy, right? So, but if you have construction, the rest, that's up to you. You like it, you don't like it, okay. But if you have good construction, now you can judge a cigar.
It's funny you bring that up because we've had this conversation of, people ask us what's a good cigar, what's a bad cigar. And I've told them what I might think is a bad cigar doesn't mean it's a bad cigar. It's just not for my specific palate. I said what might be a light cigar or a bad cigar to me, I said you might turn around and think is a great cigar. And again, like you said, it's subjective, yes, but it also what I try to convey to people is you can't go off of, yes, we can tell you that these cigars are fantastic, but you ultimately have to smoke them and see if they're for your palate. And that's what I try to tell people is, while we may do lists of, our top 25 cigars of the year, that doesn't mean that there's not 25 other ones we didn't miss.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You're not gonna take food recommendations from a guy that loves super hot wings when you don't like hot wings.
right.
I don't like
Because
hot wings.
right. So
And that
you don't want to
person
listen to a guy that's going to tell you, hey, oh, you got to try. No, because it's going to be spicy, and
and
you're not going to
that's
like it.
right. And he might be the guy that tells you, hey, listen, if you're looking for great hot wings, go to this place. I don't know about their other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? If he's saying, hey, they have great hot wings, you might be inclined to go there and not try the hot wings, but try whatever else they have.
Right.
So,
But
guys,
that's where I think a cigar is kind of the same way.
on that note, we got to take a break and come back with Alex from Exile Cigars. We'll be right back in 5 minutes.
To a hero, I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. And to a hero, and the love you left behind, I'll try my best to pass it on till the end of my time. And to a hero, you're gone, but I have no doubt that you have made it home. And to a hero taken way too soon, over there in that dusty country, an Afghan afternoon. To a hero and the little one you left behind, I hope he grows up with your passion, I'm sure he will with time. And to a hero, a warrior through and through, you were taken way too early, what can we do? Well, we can try to keep your spirits alive, we can try to be nice, we can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To all the heroes taken from our lives, at home or in those countries, fighting for what's right. Now we can do this for you and all your kin, and make this world a better place for your kids to grow up in. And we can try to be true, admit when we don't have a clue, and be there with the ones we love until our time is good and through. And we can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. Yeah, we can try to keep your spirits alive, and we can try to be nice. We can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. Well, to a hero, sunny day. All right, to a hero.
What is up? What is up? We are back with Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod on all streaming networks. Check us out. Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. I am the big dog. This is the OG. Then we have the Vanilla Gorilla, and we have Mr. Alex from Exile Cigars.
So let's dive a little more into the process of creating both of these cigars as your core line, the Alaska and the La Dalia. So obviously the names, like you said, have to do with your father's stores that he had. And what made you make the blends and name and put the names on each of them? Like did the blend have to do with kind of what the name means, or did that just kind of happen?
OG, you're frozen.
No, the names, the releases. Alaska was the first shoe store. Versailles was the second. I'm sorry, La Dalia was the first. Versailles was the second. La Dalia was the third. So they were released based on when my dad opened up shoe stores, and I've always been my palate has pretty much leaned fuller bodied, with the sweetness and chocolatiness of a San Andres, and that's what made me go that way on my first blend.
Okay.
What I found was when I'm doing events, and granted it was only one blend, so I had 3 different sizes, Robusto, Toro, Gorda, and then we came out with the limited, so it was 4. But I would get a lot of, oh no, that's too dark for me. I don't like dark cigars when we're doing these cutting lights at these shops. And so I said to Caesar, who makes my cigar, I said, bro, we got to come out with a Connecticut, because some people are scared of the dark wrapper, even though you can explain it to your blue in the face that it's medium plus, it's not super strong. They're still scared of it. So then we came out with Versailles in a Ecuadorian Connecticut. And then we're looking for the third blend for the third shoe store. And Caesar came over with the cigar. He said, I want you to try this. This is something I've been working on for a bit. It's got some old tobacco in it. It's 5-year age Habano. And I tried it and I was like, wow, this cigar, that's the one that you're smoking, OG, the Limitada, Alaska. And it just blew my mind at how complex and how, what a and so I can tell you that over my years of cigar smoking, I've learned, since I started blending cigars I've learned to appreciate milder and medium bodied cigars. Whereas in the past, give me the strongest, give me some Tatuajes, give me some 601s, Nicaraguan full bodied. And that was my go-tos. Whereas now, I'm not at all averse to picking up a Connecticut, especially one like Versailles that's not a super mild Connecticut. It's people say, oh, it's a golf cigar, the Connecticut's. Not if the blend is done right, because I'm not a Connecticut guy, but that Versailles I'll smoke all the time.
If it's done right, a Connecticut can be just as strong as a Maduro.
Correct.
And that's where I also try to, like you said, people are always, the dark wrapper shies away. Yeah, they might shy away from a dark wrapper, but what I try to explain to them is you can get a Habano or a Connecticut that's stronger than the Maduro because of the way it was blended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
judging a book by its cover.
It is, and that's a big misconception that everybody has sort of brought up, no matter who we interviewed, whether it's Crown Heads, Matt Booth, the guys from Drew Estate, Sans, a whole bunch have all said the same thing. You can never judge a cigar by the wrapper, because you could get a Connecticut that's almost like full body and get a Maduro that is a medium cigar.
Yeah.
Or
you ever have a Connecticut Killer Bee? Oof.
No.
Yeah, the Connecticut Killer Bee is a Killer Bee with a Connecticut wrapper, and it's just as strong as a Killer Bee. And people think, oh, this is milder because it's a, oh no, it's not.
No, because a lot of times people like companies like that will take the same blend in a Maduro and slap a Connecticut or a Habano on it to cover the masses, which is smart because you're not reinventing the wheel. But again, like you said, a lot of people thought Connecticut is going to be light, not if it's the same blend as what was in their strong cigar,
Mm-hmm.
because it's blended to be able to maneuver the different masses, which is smart.
So you
Yeah.
said M64 5?
M67.
Yes.
Yes, that was
Right.
a good.
That's the budget line.
Yes.
And yep. So what we did was we come out with the La Dalia, and you have either leaves that are too small or pieces of leaves. And the guy that makes my cigar says, hey, why don't we make a mix fill cigar and use the tobacco from the La Dalia production that we have, and that way we can make a budget cigar for you. Something that good grass cutting cigar, or you don't have to pay attention to the cigar. So we did a double Indonesian binder around the mix fill, and we went with a grade A, either Ecuadorian Connecticut or Ecuadorian Habano, to make a cigar that retails for somewhere or around the $70 bundle of 10. So you get a really good tasting cigar that doesn't fall apart on you at an inexpensive price. And that the M67 is a fragmentation grenade in the military. So it's fragments.
M647.
M67.
M67.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? What's the
No, he was asking. I don't think OG has smoked that yet.
I have not. No, I've not had that yet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I will
just
tell
because,
you, I
just
have
because
smoked
my military background.
yeah.
I have smoked it. It is.
I'm hoping it's a banger. Literally.
I told Alex this when I smoked it. I thought it was a fantastic stick, especially for once he told me what the price was. I was like, there's not many cigars out there for that price with that kind of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being produced.
And again, I like to smoke when I drive, and you're not really paying attention to the cigar when you drive. Yeah. And the worst thing in the world is when you get a cigar that, is inexpensive, that you don't mind driving with it, and it's flaking all over the place, and ash, every eighth of an inch, the ash falls on you, and your car is like a freaking ashtray. This won't do that because of the double binder. It holds together. You'll get a 2-inch ash on this cigar, even though it's mixed fill.
Nice. So I want to switch gears real quick because I'm fascinated by all the guests that we have on, their background and their family history and that type of stuff. And your logo on your bands, is that a crest, or is that just like, what does that represent? Because that is a really sharp looking logo on there. Is there a story behind it, or no, it's just something you came up with?
So my parents were always very proud of their roots, right? They're both from Cuba, and that is the Cuban coat of arms. So it's the crest of Cuba. And my parents had this little wooden plaque prominently displayed in their house, and it was the Cuban crest. And when I was thinking about making a band, I remember seeing that, and I go, that's going to be on the band.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like. See, I'm fascinated by this stuff because the cigar brands that have a story behind it are more appealing to me. Like, I want to know more about the brand itself, not that just somebody came up with a cigar and said, "Oh, that's nice," and threw that on. So I appreciate the authenticity of that information, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Fantastic.
So if you've noticed okay.
It's broken, by the way.
So if you notice the bottom of the logo, it says "Building a Legacy, One Cigar at a Time."
Yes.
And the reason for
There you
that
go.
is my dad, he was very family oriented. So his brothers all ran one of the shoe stores, and his dream was to be able to get a big enough plot of land and build houses on it and have his entire family all around. So when we moved to Newark, we lived in a apartment building, 322 Park Avenue. It was 4 stories. Three of those stories were all Martinez. Aunt and uncle on the fourth floor. We were on the third. Aunt and uncle on the second. The only apartment was the super on the first floor that wasn't, a Martinez. Next door, 324 Park Avenue, we had one of those apartments too. He loved the
Yeah.
family. His goal was, we're going to build something that all my nieces and nephews and my sons and daughters will be able to take over, a legacy, right? And
Right.
unfortunately, Castro and communism wiped that out. So that's why we're, you know, building a legacy for, my kids and hopefully their kids, something that, my dad unfortunately wasn't able to accomplish.
So I'm
Well,
gonna ask you
so
this
so
question.
OG, I have a comment here for you. After we played our commercial, the Dirty Deacon said that it was a great song and that OG is his hero.
It was a
Uh,
great song. That was a
it
nice
is.
song.
Love Hector.
So
That's the nice version of what you
so
want to
I
say.
can't even say this.
That's the PG
You
version
know
of
what?
what we can say on the show.
So OG, how about you go F yourself? Because I can't say the
Oh
word.
wait, you don't have to. Don't worry.
So let me ask you this question, Alex. So your mom and dad's not around no more, correct?
No, no, they're not.
Shout out to you because my mom and dad ain't around no more. So I gotta say, my condolences to your family. I hope it's all going well. So, do you have any nieces and nephews that want to follow in your footsteps?
Nieces and nephews, unfortunately, no. My sister never had any kids. So I have a niece and a nephew from my wife's side of the family now. And who knows, maybe. My son is he manages a shop. He's been in the cigar industry now for almost 10 years. He's going to be 30. And he got in when he was 20, started working a small little place called JR Cigar. You've probably heard of it.
It's just a little place, nothing
Yeah, little
crazy.
place. Yep, yep.
Slightly familiar. Slightly familiar
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
It's not
So
that big.
yeah,
Nothing crazy.
so he started there, and then he's been to a couple of different stores, and he's managing a shop now, Cacique in Roselle Park, New Jersey. And he's very very active with me, and in picking blends and design ideas and all that. So hopefully one day we're doing well enough that he can come on full time into Exile, and I can keep him without getting his getting kicked out of his apartment and with a good salary.
Yeah. Do you ever go back to Cuba? And if so, like how often? And is it
So
do you have family
my
there? And
no real family left, and my parents would probably roll in their grave if I went back before Cuba was free. Um,
uh,
I'm not going to support that communist regime. I'd love to be able to support the people, but unfortunately, you go there and it's really supporting the government. And if you give $1 to a person on the street, by the time that's done, it's $10 in the pocket of the communist regime there. So I haven't been. I trust me. There's nothing more than I'd like to go and see the house that my parents raised my sister in, and just that whole, which is on the opposite side of the island, by the way. Santiago was actually the capital of Cuba for a short bit. It was the first capital, and then it moved to Havana. and Santiago is the other big city in Cuba. But it's a definite dream of mine, and I think we're closer now to that dream coming true than we've ever been in my lifetime.
Okay.
So
So OJ,
hopefully things will change there, and I'll be able to visit.
you wanted to talk about the Alaska, correct?
Yeah, no, I think we touched. I mean, I was kind of curious about the name. Like, where did you get the name Alaska? What inspired that?
And so you tend to miss out on conversations and questions you wish you would have asked your parents when they're gone. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask my dad what kind of drugs he was doing when he came up with naming a shoe store Alaska in Cuba. But I that question is asked. Believe me, if I do an event and they see, I get asked that question at least 15 times every time I do a cut and light. I wish I
Sorry.
should just come up with a good answer, about how we visited Alaska and loved it, and wanted to pay homage to the great state of Alaska. But unfortunately, I have no clue. I can tell you he was never in Alaska, and he hated the cold. So it makes perfect
Oh,
sense. You've never been to Alaska and you hate the cold, so you're going to call your shoe store Alaska. Makes sense, right?
okay. Fair enough.
So, how did you come up with La Dahlia?
La Dahlia, so it's the dahlia flower is, I guess, something um, beautiful that so La Dahlia was like their flagship um, shoe store. It was the first one that opened, and it was all high end quality leather shoes. Um, made in other countries, Italy and Spain, and brought in, and then kind of like where I did with Versailles. It's kind of like it's funny how it worked out. Some people obviously they can't afford you know high end shoes. They go for regular shoes, and so he decided the second store was going to be more budget friendly shoes, and that was Versailles. That was the second shoe store he opened with lower price shoes, and still good quality, but at a more affordable price.
So is it possible, being that you said La Dahlia was the higher end, Versailles was more of the budget, affordable? Is it possible that Alaska might have been Boots?
It could be. That I
I,
couldn't tell you. I can tell
just
you that the actual shoe
going
store.
off of what you said. I'm just trying to think of, like,
Yeah.
maybe it had to
What?
do with Boots or something like that in Alaska because of
Mm,
all the snow. He decided to do that.
maybe. Maybe. Yeah. I wish I knew. That's one of those things that I always say is, all the damn questions and all the stupid shit I asked Dad. Why didn't I ask him how he came up with the names? Yeah. I
Right.
mean, even
So
the names. I guess he just kind of like just he liked the name La Dalia. It's actually in cement. It says peleteria, which is the Spanish word for shoe store. La Dalia. It's on the cement in the sidewalk, and the shoe store is actually still there and still functioning as a shoe store in Santiago.
Let's
I
go.
had a cut.
Let's go back. Let's go back
Yep.
to your sister. So
Yes.
it's you and your sister, correct?
Yes. She's 16 years older than I am. Grew up in a different generation. She was kind of like a second mom to me, because she was 17 pretty much when I was born, and she helped my mom pretty much raise me. And I when I was little, I was her and her husband. I was with them all the time. They would take me on trips and stuff like that. So she
So
was like a second
let's
mother
go
to me.
back to her. Let's go. Let's kick the storyline back to her. So what does she think about you doing cigars?
She loves it. She uh she's tried every one of the blends when we were coming up with them, and she loved the design. She has a joke. She always says that I'm more Cuban than she is, um, and it's it's just I appreciate my roots, and I'm proud of my heritage, and I'm not afraid to display it.
Right.
I get that. So that's the Cuban flag on my forearm, and then "We the People" on the other side. And on my chest, I have that Cuban coat of arms here, and I have an eagle with a American flag draped over here. So I like to say I might have Cuba in my blood, but the United States is in my heart.
There we go.
Love it. Love it.
Does your sister smoke cigars too?
She does on occasion. Usually, when she gets them from me, she won't buy any. But we'll, she'll come to my events and stuff, and she's always, no, let me buy it. Yeah. Here, smoke this cigar.
Now,
But
which
yeah,
which
So,
is her favorite to smoke when she comes to your events?
actually, Alaska's her favorite now. The La Dalia was a little bit strong for her, and she liked Versailles when it came out, but now she's really digging the Alaska.
another question, and these guys I think probably are figuring out what I'm going to ask because I ask this of every cigar guest that we have on. You can have one cigar, 1 hour of uninterrupted time, one cigar with anybody, past, present, or future. And I think I know the answer to this. But who would that be, and what cigar would you smoke?
Oh, gee, you're frozen.
Well, so I would absolutely positively love to sit down with um, Ronald Reagan. Um,
Really?
yes.
Well, time out,
I
Really?
time out. Because Ronald Reagan's not around no more, player.
That's what he said. Whoever, it doesn't matter who.
yeah,
And I
past,
It's
understand.
present.
not yours. It's not yours. I asked our guest Alex who we would like.
So yeah, in the past, I'd love to sit down and sit with him, and just talk about how he completely outsmarted the Soviet Union and brought down the wall. Um, I just living. Um, I would love to sit down and have hours long conversation with Benjamin Mendez, the master blender who worked for General Cigars until he retired. And then he did a great interview with the guys from Cigar Snob. It was a 2-part interview. And that's when he came out, now that he was retired, and could actually, tell it like it is and talk about how family, you know, businesses in the cigar industry were the real lifeblood of the industry, and the conglomerates were really just corporate, and there's no real story behind it. They make the cigars to make money, whereas a lot of this family owned businesses that do cigars, they're doing it for a reason, for family like me. Do I need to be in the cigar industry? No, I do it because of the passion that I have for it, and that's something that's missing in a lot of these big companies. That they're in it for the profit and the bottom line. I'm in it for the passion and the love of the industry. Don't get me
Fantastic.
wrong. I'd like to make money eventually, but
Of course.
When we all.
yeah.
So
But it
throughout your blending processes, right? Which cigar do you find was the easiest for you to blend, and which one was kind of your favorite one to blend?
um I think the easiest one, believe it or not, and I give kudos. People throw the word master blender, or the term, the title master blender, around like it's like it's water these days. I blended a cigar. I'm a master blender. And the real guys that know what a master blender is, when you call them that, they say, no, I'm not a master blender. I'm a blender. I'm nowhere near a master blender. I'm not a master blender. I'm a master smoker, like you guys. I smoke cigars. I love smoking cigars. I know what I like. I know a good cigar from a bad cigar. I know when a tobacco's not been fermented long enough, and you get that little ammonia taste in the back of your throat, and all these things. So I consider myself a master smoker after almost 30 years of smoking cigars. I kind of know what I like. But the guys at the factory, Winston Peralta is the blender that came up with the blends for my cigars. And you know it's funny because he would come up, I tell him kind of like what I wanted, and he'd come up with some blends and we'd try them, and we'd say, all right, a little stronger or a little lighter. I want more of this, more of that, less of that. And we started narrowing it down. And with Alaska, uh it was so funny that he brought the last two blends that were going to be the final blends, which one I wanted. And Caesar sitting there with me, and me and AJ are both smoking them. Um, and we're looking at each other, and he says, "I'm not going to tell you which one you're going to pick." He said, "It's right here on this piece of paper." And I was like, "Well, you already know which one we want?" And he goes, "No, Winston did." He said, "This is the one they're going to go with." And sure as shit, we're going back and forth between the two, and we say, "This is going to be the final blend." And he starts laughing. He flips over the paper, and sure enough, that was the one he knew. So when you get a good blender, he knows what it is you're looking for in a cigar. He knows your palate and your likes and dislikes, and he can make the cigar to fit that thing that you're looking for. So that was kind of like, the believe it or not, the easiest one. La Dalia was the most fun because it was my first, and it was the challenge of making a Dominican cigar that was indicative of my flavor profile, that was usually Nicaraguan, but it
Right.
was being made in the DR with Dominican tobacco. So that was the challenge. And again, between Winston and Caesar, they nailed it with that Ligero 2020, and the blending of the different tobaccos so that it's strong but not too strong,
Right.
and yet very, very flavorful.
So kind of walk us through that blending process of the La Dalia for your first cigar, and kind of tell everybody what it was like. Did you go there and blend it in person with them, or did you have them send you samples? Like, how did you do that?
So the first one I didn't go there. Caesar brought over. We kind of discussed what we were looking for as far as flavor profile, notes. What kind of wrapper do you want? And I've always been a fan of Maduro, and I love Mexican San Andres. And anybody that likes a Padron Maduro will understand what I'm talking about. That's that chocolatiness, that espresso sweetness, that wrapper gives to a cigar, and then the strength based on whatever you put in the filler. Um, so we're kind of talking about Maduro, and he says, "Well, why don't we try San Andres? You like the San Andres stuff that's coming out?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So we sourced out some really good San Andres in the DR that came from the preeminent Torrent family in Mexico that makes or grows fantastic wrapper, San Andres wrapper. And so we kind of narrowed it down wrapper wise, and then we started with I think it was five different blends, two of which were kind of close, and we were able to pare it down to three, and then we got it down to two over the course of about two months. And the hard part is that if you get a cigar freshly blended and you don't smoke it within a couple of days, you got to give it time to um, get out of that sick period, because in about 5 days after it's been blended, you don't want to taste that cigar. It's not going to taste anything like it will in the end. So you taste it when you first start, and then we narrowed it down to two, and you get a little quantity made of those, and you let them sit a month, and you try it, and then you let them go another month, and you try it. So after 3 months, we revisited the cigar, and that's when we said, I think we're going to go with the B blend, or number two, uh, and we just it's one of those processes. And then right before the actual cigar made it, I think it was probably maybe 6 7 months down the line, we went back and we picked out the two blends. We had a few left over, and we smoked it, and we looked at each other, me and my son, and we said, yeah, we made the right choice. This is aging incredibly well, and they do, they just get better with time.
So, how has PCA been for you?
PCA.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you been to PCA?
Yeah, so I have not been to the trade show. It's a huge expenditure for a small company, and they kind of make it difficult to afford. And the one thing that I'm most fearful of is what I've seen happen to a lot of companies when they grow too fast. The quality control drops, the quality of the cigar, because you're trying to get them out faster. You're not aging them as long, is something that I'm not willing to compromise on. So to go to PCA and all of a sudden get bombarded with orders of, let's say, let's just be optimistic and say I get ordered 50,000 cigars. That's a lot of cigars to make, import, and distribute. And the other question you got to ask yourself, again, small company, where are you getting the capital, to be able to get 50,000 cigars made at one time? It's hard enough when when I'm making cigars. Our first order was only 6,000 cigars, 2,000 of each size. And then when we went through them at the pace that we did, we said, oh, we got something here. And again, talking, and this is why, one of the reasons why I love the company that I deal with as far as making my cigars. Caesar said, listen, you can order another 2,000 of each size, and the pricing will be the same. And, in another 2 3 months, you're going to be ordering again. Or he says, order 10,000. I can drop the price, and you'll be able to squeak out a little bit more profit, which will help you as you're starting to get your second blend in. Because we were already, once the first one came out, we were already talking, we have to come out with a second one after doing cut and lights. And so that's what we decided to do. So when we order a production run, it's usually 10,000 cigars, which is minuscule compared to some of these big companies, where they're doing 50,000, 100,000 per size, in a shot.
So besides the cost, what could PCA do for quote unquote the boutique brands or the smaller name brands to entice them to participate more? Or is it just mainly the cost to get there?
Well, I think it's the cost is a big factor. It's probably one of the biggest factors. The other thing that happens is, me as a new company coming in, if let's say I call PCA and I said, all right, I'm going to join, and I wanted to exhibit next year. I'm at the very bottom of the list as far as picking the placement in the trade show floor. So a lot of the smaller companies get relegated to the back, and places where the foot traffic isn't really there. A prime
Mhm.
example was the BCA, the Boutique Cigar Association, which kind of folded up. They had a great concept of coming up with a BCA pavilion, and they made it more affordable for their members to be able to um, be at the trade show and sell cigars there. The problem was they put them all the way in the back corner, and we sat there the last year that they were at the trade show, which was in Vegas. We sat there, and we're looking, and there's absolutely zero foot traffic. And I said, you're better off spending the full boat if you really want foot traffic, because there's nobody coming here. And so
Yeah.
that's something, the big guys, and listen, I can't blame them. The big guys that build these little cities inside the the show hall, they get prime location, and then the other companies that might be half the size of those big companies, they're close to those companies, and then as you get further and further away is where the little guys are, and it makes it hard for a small company to be able to compete with that. I mean, you're talking minimum at least 10,000 for a 10 by 10 spot with absolutely nothing in it by the time you're done. I'm talking nothing. I'm talking you had a 10 by 10 square, no table, no chairs, no nothing, just a 10 by 10 square on that trade show floor where you can put up your little banner and say, I'm Exile, I'm selling cigars. And I'm depending on how many cigars you give out, that price goes up tremendously from there. And the more elaborate you want you want chairs, you want the price just keeps going up. And so it makes it difficult. You have to pursue other means of growing organically and slowly enough to be able to maintain your quality control and your financial stability, and hopefully one day you can say, all right, you know what, we're going to budget the 20,000 that it's going to cost for us to do a effective trade show exhibit.
Yeah, it would seem to me that the big names, the huge names in the cigar industry, wouldn't mind being in the back with their big displays and having to walk through the boutiques to get to the brand name. Listen, I'm still walking to the back of the store for an Alfuente. Like, I'm walking through this to get to an Alfuente. But I'm going to have to go by your booth at Exile before I get there. Right. So it's not, my point is, it wouldn't hurt them to be further back and make people come to you. They're going to anyway.
Right. Well, hold that thought. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue this little conversation.
Hombre muerto.
Dead man. 10 years hard time for something I didn't do. You've been living on easy street. Now just is coming to you. You're a dead man. You're a dead man walking.
And we're
Okay,
back.
we're back.
So we were talking about, how they could make it better for, and you were talking about how you would walk past the booth anyway, going to the bigger names of the PCA. It's kind of where we left off.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no,
I don't think the big names would, their egos won't allow them to be in the back.
yeah, I don't disagree. I understand that. It's funny. I just got a text from a friend of mine. His wife, or excuse me, his sister is a wife of one of the major cigar companies. I'm not going to put the name out there, but he's the wife. She's the wife of one of the big accountants for one of the big cigar companies out there. And he made a good point to me that I didn't think about, is that these companies don't advertise, like they really don't. And all of that advertisement money that they don't utilize or is budgeted for advertising, they can use for events like the PCA. So they can build these elaborate, you know,
It gives them the
quote
extra.
unquote miniature storefronts so they can, promote their cigars.
True.
And it,
True.
that's for being around so long, like a Fuente, like, you know, Drew Estate does. I can't say Drew doesn't because Drew spends a lot of money on advertising.
Fuente too. Fuente's in all the magazines. I mean,
Yeah,
eh,
Yeah.
that old story where he thought the cigar aficionado wasn't going to be around long, so he says we'll advertise in every issue. And he goes, Dad, did you see how much it's going to cost? He said, I don't know, it would be one issue and they're done. Well, here they are. However, it's still buying. Yep.
right. Still in stores and everything.
Yeah.
You go pick it
Yeah.
up
And listen, I take
at
nothing
a,
away. I mean,
at a supermarket.
they're
Yeah, Stop and Shop.
yeah, pretty
Sitting on the
much.
magazine rack, Cigar Aficionado magazine.
Yep.
It's crazy, and I think
But
with things like this podcast and like a lot of these other podcasts that help get the boutique world out there, I think it's a big step as well
yes,
because
there's a new organization. It's about 2 years old now. And it's the Tobacco Products Association, TPA.
yeah, that's big.
And yep, exactly. They bring what I like about them is they bring everybody together. You got the
Yeah,
manufacturers, you got the retailers, and you got the consumers.
and then you have
Um,
the media guys like us. You
exactly.
have and that's it's funny you bring that up because when he started that we actually were one of the first as Turnbuckles and Stogies. Uh, Me and my dad were one of the first few podcasts to join the actual TPA,
Yep.
and it gave us a launching pad, to be able to get more guests on and stuff like that. Like we sent out mass emails to a lot of not only the manufacturers but the brand owners as well.
Hmm.
And I think it's nice because it gives not only podcasts and manufacturers and retailers a chance to connect, but it gives the consumers a chance to connect with you as well. And
Yes.
that's a huge thing.
Hmm. It's like you were saying before. I mean, the hardest part about being a boutique is getting your cigar into the consumer's hands. That's why coming from retail, when I pitch my cigar to a cigar shop, and it has to be the right cigar shop too, because I think there's two kinds of cigar stores out there: stores that um, people go and buy cigars in, and stores that sell people cigars. So when you walk into a store and you got, a college age kid working the register who doesn't really smoke cigars, you walk into the humidor, you grab what you want, you come, you pay for it, and you leave. Those are stores that sell cigars. My brand would not do well in that store because there's nobody to say, "Hey, you like this is your flavor profile. Try this new cigar we got in. It's really good." That doesn't happen in a store like that. Whereas in a store where they sell cigars, you kind of help your customer find new stuff. I've always been a proponent of customer service at a cigar shop is essential. All my, when I was running the shop, all the employees were trained through Tobacconist University. to give credence. When this person recommends a cigar, they know what they're talking about. They smoke cigars regularly. They smoke just about everything in this humidor to be able to get an idea of what the cigar lends itself to. And when you come in and you say, "I'm looking for something XYZ," well, here, come try these, and it's not a decision based on what you're looking to sell in a store. It's a decision on what this person will enjoy. um
Right.
so that's something very important to me. So I always say, whenever I get it, listen, let's do a cut and light. Yeah, new brand. Let's do a cut and light. Let's get it into your customers' hands. Let's see what the reception's like. And then we can kind of tune what it is you're going to carry based on what your customers are going for, what they're liking. I have one shop that can't sell a robusto to save their life for some reason, so they carry the toros. And the other stores, the Versailles is the biggest seller. Nobody buys the La Dahlia because that's a milder uh smoke kind of store. Whereas I got other stores that buy La Dahlia like it's water, and one box here and there of Versailles or Alaska, because they're all full body people there. So
So now,
every
going
shop's different.
off the subject, what is your minimum order requirements for a shop, and what is your retail prices on your cigars?
So the one thing, again, coming from retail, I tried to make things super simple. So our prices across the three lines are the same. Robustos, MSRP is 1150. The Corona Limiteds are 12. The Toros are 1250. And I only made the Gorda in La Dalia, and that's 1350. So I tried to keep the pricing the same.
Yeah, that's still not even. That's still not bad pricing either.
That's
No,
really good.
no.
That's really good.
And again, it's aggressive, um, because you're a boutique guy that nobody's ever heard of. Why is someone going to spend $16 on your cigar when you got a AJ Fernandez next to it for 15, or a
Right.
Fuente, for 14? And the unfortunate thing with boutiques is our costs are always higher because we're not buying in the quantity um, of tobacco that these big guys are dealing with. So they get, better tobacco at better prices usually.
Correct.
And then the smaller guys, if you want that good tobacco, you're going to pay for it. And again, I'm not putting my name on anything that is not, worthy of it. The last thing I
Mhm.
want is somebody to say, "Oh yeah, this cigar is, crap."
It's
Um,
funny you brought
Yeah.
that up for the as the boutiques bringing in not as much tobacco and the pricing being higher. We actually just ran into that issue with we were working with another guy for our cigars. He was a broker. He was going to do all of our shipping and stuff like that. But the problem was the wholesale price of the cigars from, let's just say, Bandit and everything from his factory that he one of his factories he works with is $5, right? He was wholesaling them to us at 10. So in order for us to make a profit at a 4 pack, I was having to sell them at $20 a stick. So I went from it was like 100 and uh. So actually, hold on. So we have a comment here, and then I'll get back to that. If the big cigar manufacturers have already made it in the industry, shouldn't they be helping to lift up the smaller brands instead of viewing them as competition? I'm gonna get back to that. Let me finish my statement because I have a whole big thing on that, and I've had this conversation at length with OG quite a few times. We've had this conversation at length. Hector said, "If only." Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that. So like you said, we were bringing them in. It was for a 4 pack, it was $110 shipped, and everybody was like, "Yeah, but the price." And we knew right off the beginning. Listen, we tried every which way to make it, even down to $80, $70. Like we tried every argument possible to drop that price. It didn't work. Thankfully, one of our viewers, Hector, and one of our other friends, kind of gave us a line and was like, "Listen, go talk to so and so, and I guarantee you he can do better. And we got on a phone call with him, and we dropped the price damn near in half of what it would cost us.
Hmm.
What it would cost somebody to buy a 5-pack from us. And it's
Yeah,
once you,
it's tough. It's tough to compete. I mean,
and especially when when you find somebody like you said you can work well with, and that's that guide you and kind of like, hey, listen, I told him what we got price wise. He was like, yeah. He was like, so basically, take one of my 5-packs, multiply it by 2, and that's the price of one of your 4-packs. I said, okay, that's all I need to know. I was like, we'll be talking about blends pretty soon. I was like, give me a week or so to really finally decide on what we want to do, and I'll send you an order of what kind of samples we're looking for, and we'll go from there.
let me
Which
know when you guys want to go to the DR, and we'll go visit the factory, and we'll.
okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Be
well,
more than
Give
happy.
us a date. Give us a date. We'll make it happen.
well, I gotta let me get my passports and stuff together first,
Yeah, yeah.
and a little bit of capital to be able to expenditure these trips to the DR. But no,
That's
it's
it.
it's a very interesting industry. But when you find somebody who knows what they're doing, and you can say, hey, listen, I'm looking for X, like you said earlier, X, Y, and Z, and they can say, hey, here's I made you 4 different samples. It's of the same blend, but I tweaked it a little bit for each one. The last one is what you're looking for, but try these other ones in between and see what you like.
Yep.
Hmm.
Now, going back to Megan's question, you would think that these big brands would help the smaller guys, but here's the issue with that, and Alex can tell you very well. These big brands view a lot of these smaller brands as competition and nobody. They view them as guys who are never going to make it, who are never going to blow up, who are never going to be what they are. They've been around for 100 years, and they feel that the only ones that should eat at the table are the guys who've been around that long, or the guys who have made a big name, like a Puente, a Padron, a My Father, a Drew Estate, E.P. Carrillo, well, Casa Carrillo now, but it's very select few that they think should be essentially the big names and essentially the guys in charge of them. Where the littler guys like Alex, like Cigar Clowns, like who else we had on? Even Rick at West Hampton. He's a smaller company. Granted, he came from General. Again,
Yeah.
if the industry, see, and that's what it is supposed to be, a brotherhood and a mentorship. It should be. You're 100% right. Now, with that being said, to kind of touch off what Megan is saying here, if the industry is truly a brotherhood, inclusivity should mean mentorship and collaboration, not gatekeeping, helping the next generation. Only makes the cigar community stronger. Again, yes, you are right, 100%.
Business is business, though, and
Business
listen,
is
I'll be
business,
honest with you. The big guys are scared of boutique
and they are
because
because
they're
they,
gonna
a
take
lot of
they're gonna take
people
away, and if they become popular. I mean,
and
look at a guy like Pete Johnson. You know, with
that's
the
actually a very good example.
yeah, love Pete. And I
Great
love his
cigar, by the
cigars.
way.
Yes,
One of my
and
favorite brands.
here's a little guy that all of a sudden now
When
but not only did he blow up, but he helped Pepin and my father grow by because they make his cigar. So the more cigars he sells, the more cigars my father makes.
right,
And
and not only
they
that, you can even put as much as he says he's not a bigger name. Look at Crown Heads.
Mhm.
He works with My Father Cigars, and he works with Pichardo Cigars and all these other companies that, like you said, the more cigars they make and they sell and they produce is
Yes.
more that My Father makes and sells and produces, and then gives My Father revenue to put back into their own company to make their own cigar. You know, so it's like you said, it's one of those. You know, they like the boutiques because it's new to the industry, but they don't like them because of, like you said, like a Pete Johnson or a Crown Heads or you know, a few other guys who have taken some of these other big name factories who make their own cigars, worked with them, have them produce their cigars, and now they went poof and exploded.
Yep.
And now it's like, well, hold on a minute. We were supposed to be the guys running the asylum, and now you got guys like Pete Johnson, like Crown Heads, you know, even as far as to say, you know, and he's always been a pillar in the industry, but Jonathan Drew. As I call them, everyday guys who dress like we do, talk like we do, say things like we do, and just are who we are now essentially in charge of running. And I don't say in charge, but you get my metaphor.
Yeah.
You know, it went from the three-piece suits and ties to now it's, you know, Jordans and a pair of jean shorts and a backwards hat running the asylum.
Dude, they started in a kiosk at the World Trade Center to being one of the largest factories in the in Nicaragua.
But if we're talking about a brotherhood and inclusivity, there has to be a balance between protecting the market share and growing the industry. Again, we can't agree with that statement more. You know, we can't agree with that statement anymore. But unfortunately, you know, while it is a brotherhood, it's a very small brother, unfortunately.
Listen, when we were designing, we were La Unión, Tabacalera La Unión, their first big customer. And I'm small, I'm tiny. So we were the first customer. When we're designing the box, I told Cesar, I said, I need your logo. He said, what do you mean? I said, 'cause I'm going to put it on the bottom of the box. He goes, what do you mean? I said, bro, you know, I got to tip my hat to you. You know, you're making the cigar. I'm not making the cigar. I, you know, came up with what we wanted. And, you know, I want to, you know, rising tide raises all ships. If somebody likes a cigar and all of a sudden they say, you know what? Oh, this is I'm going to talk to this guy. He makes more cigars. He's able to buy more tobacco. He's able to help me even more.
Right.
So why wouldn't I want to promote, you know, the factory where, you know, where my cigars are? I love companies that they want to keep that like it's a state secret, you know, who makes your cigar. Oh, I don't reveal that.
And I
What do you
think
mean you don't reveal it? That's kind of like, you know, part and parcel to what you are. You know.
Right. Like I can see gatekeeping maybe a blend. And as far as
I lost. Did I lose you?
Can you hear me?
I lost your audio.
Uh-oh.
Well, hopefully everybody else can hear you.
I believe everybody else can hear me, but oh, there's OG. OG, can you hear me? OG, can you hear me? I think I lost OG. Oh, hello.
I can hear now.
Okay. So I lost my train.
Uh-oh. Train left the station.
Oh no. Hold on. We were talking about what was it? The okay, gatekeeping. There we go. No, so like I can see as far as gatekeeping, and what I mean by gatekeeping is essentially telling people just what the rapper raps and not telling them the boundaries because you want them to smoke it and enjoy it the way they do. You can hear us. Yeah. I can't hear OG. So I don't know if that's I can see.
And everybody thinks, oh, it's kind of like the secret sauce or the secret formula.
Right.
But I tell you what, you can get the same tobacco and take a pile of it and split it up into three, give it to three different factories, and the tobacco will be different with their final
God
processing
damn it,
and everything else.
motherfuckers! Every time someone fucking calls, pisses me off.
I
All
can
What?
right,
hear
you're
you.
in. You're good. We can hear you now. Don't be
So
pissed off.
we're winding down here, but this is why. Yeah. So the guy that Hector works with, he calls him the mad scientist. And that's why I love working with the mad scientist. Our mind is where he makes his money. It's helping the little guy to get his start. And that is very true because we called him and got him involved with it. You know, we had to have a long time. Like I like helping the little guys. Pass over. They don't like they start whatever or get food as far as like a price point or stuff like that. When we brought up our price, like, oh wow, that's when I told you he could sell two for his 2.5 for his one pack, and I was like, okay, cool, that works. And waiting to order my sample, but I'm excited to work with him when I put out, um, and everything else, and it's a very interesting industry as far as working with people and seeing who people will work with. But you, Alex, have a great factory and blender you're working with because I've had the opportunity to smoke almost all of your line. And it is now, something that I will keep in my humidor for sure because I do enjoy the cigars. I have to say this Gordo surprised me in a good way because I don't smoke a lot of Gordos anymore. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this Gordo and will at least be ordering at least a single or two singles of each one because I got to make sure I got it in the humidor now. So you're on mute, Alex. There we go.
The only difference, can you hear me now? The only difference between the Toro, which is 650, and the Gorda, which is 660, is 10 ring gauges. Tobacco's the same. It's just blended. You got more tobacco in it. And that axe cigar actually really produces a pricing challenge because the cost to make a 660 with all the same tobacco as opposed to putting in cheap filler to make it 60 ring, something that is completely neutral and won't affect the flavor of the cigar just to increase the size. It takes away from flavor. You notice there's no miss on the flavors in that cigar because it's all the same tobacco.
And there's no aftertaste either. So as we're winding down here, tell people where they can order your cigars, where they can follow you, and if they want to order from you, can they hit you up, or where do they have to go?
Absolutely. So like I said, we're in 30 brick and mortar stores. If you go to exilecigars.com, that's our website. We have a retailers page there, which shows where we're carried. There's also unicornsmokes.com, which is our online storefront, where we not only have just Exile, but we also have the La Flor Dominicana NFT cigar, the Tatuaje Anarchy NFT cigar, and some other unicorns out there that are hard to find and aged stuff. It's kind of like the clearinghouse for cigar collectors. If you have a collection and you want to sell it, we do consignment based selling on the unicorn site as well. Hoping to get out a auction platform before the end of the year, for some really crazy stuff that people have that they want to auction it off, and hopefully that'll take off before the end of the year. But yeah, exilecigars.com, at Exile Cigars. We have a YouTube channel, Exile Cigars, as well. Instagram, same thing, Exile Cigars. And from there you can navigate. And if what we tell people is if there's a brick and mortar near you, please support your local brick and mortar. Without the brick and mortars, this industry is dead. You can buy cigars anywhere, but you can only go to a cigar shop, sit down, and have a conversation like we're having here, in person, and relax and enjoy the camaraderie that the cigar industry gives you, which is unlike any other industry. So,
Sure.
if you have a brick and mortar near you, please. If you don't and you want to try our cigars, feel free to go to unicornsmokes.com and we will ship out to you.
And I always look forward to eventually meeting our guests in person and sitting down and even just having a cigar with you, just talking and being able to meet in person would be a fantastic thing to do. So I will. Can you hear us? Okay.
We'll plan a trip and
Yeah,
we'll do it for
I got you back.
when you're doing a show. We'll plan a trip up there, and
Sure.
I'll be a live guest.
Absolutely. So I am going to end the show here. I don't know if you have any closing remarks you want to make to him after we end OD.
No,
My
I
closing remark
apologize.
is thank you so much for having me on, man. I
And
appreciate the ability to get the word out.
Anytime. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what the producer says, but as far as I'm concerned, anytime you want to come on, you're welcome back.
100%. So let's go ahead and end this, and then if you want to talk for a few more minutes afterwards, we can.
Yeah.
Just get us off the air so that the next show can take our place.
All right.
Alrighty.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.